Tyandaga here. So it's finally here, Season 5, and the hype could not be more real. After a long wait in hiatus hibernation, new episodes are on their way. So to kick off the new season, we're given an exciting 2-part episode, complete with a new town, new villain, and some deep-rooted Machiavellian philosophy. You'll see what I mean. So our journey begins where we left off last season. After defeating Tyrek in a battle that could put Dragon Ball Z to shame, our heroes discover they have a brand new base of operations. Inside is a circle of thrones for each of the main 6, as well as a map of Equestria in the center, known as the Cutie Map. From what I can tell, this map will be the main drive for the plots that we're going to be seeing this season, and I absolutely love that. This map will serve as a reason for the group to explore new areas of Equestria, and I can't wait to see the world building that promises to take place. So the map works by showing the gang where they're needed most to spread friendship in Equestria, using their cutie marks as a waypoint of sorts. For this particular adventure, the cutie markers, see what I did there, are grouped together, but perhaps in later episodes, we might see these markers splitting their group up to go to different locations based on their talents and personalities. Who knows? So with the group all ready to go, Spike mentions that he won't be joining them as he has a weekend planned with Big Mac talking hoofball. Now, I know this is probably meaningless, but what the heck is hoofball? And what real life sport, if any, does it take after? My best guess would be American football considering the apparel Spike is wearing in this scene, but honestly, there's really just no way to tell. Irrelevant yet nagging questions aside, the main 6 embark on a long trip which eventually leads them to a small outback town that on the outside looks like any regular village, but upon closer inspection is anything but normal. Pinkie Pie, who I believe is the most observant of the group, is quick to notice that the residents of this town are all wearing smiles that seem forced, masking their true emotions. But the biggest thing that stands out with these ponies are their cutie marks, or rather cutie mark. They all sport an equal sign, and unless you're a big fan of math equations, that ain't right. It's clear from the first glance that this small community prides itself on the philosophy that everyone should be as equal as possible, which is extremely creepy. I'm not kidding, it was really unsettling the way the locals of the town welcome the newcomers. Nothing says, "Come on in," like pinprick pupils and cheek-to-cheek grins. You just know that something really messed up is happening here, but there's no indication as to what's causing all this just yet, and as such, there's no clear way to solve this problem. One thing I found interesting was that Fluttershy didn't seem to find anything wrong with all of this. So what are we going to be fighting against this time? A Goliath monster of biblical proportions? Me on a fast break? A mildly annoyed cat? Well, if you can believe it, none of the above. It turns out that this time our main antagonist is a unicorn named Starlight, who appears, unlike the other residents, normal, albeit very charismatic and sure of herself. Now here's where things get really interesting. We know that Starlight is behind all of this, but exactly in what way and how is uncertain. This is an interesting dynamic we're seeing from this villain, as traditionally with evil characters, they are fearsome and menacing like Tyrek. However, with Starlight, it's her charisma and charm that are her greatest weapons. Moving on, we next get a musical piece performed by Starlight and the rest of the village. Unlike the songs we're used to seeing in Ponyville, with the characters joining in as they see fit, this song feels very much coordinated and structured as if it were repeatedly rehearsed. The marching in unison almost reminds me of war propaganda, where soldiers would march in perfect coordination to display their military organization. The song explains that in this community, everyone is equal, and removing things like competition and different talents and abilities, they are happier and get along better because of it. Pinkie Pie's face sums up best the group's feelings on what they're seeing. Nuh-uh, not buying it. So while being under constant surveillance of the locals, our 6 heroes search for a solution, which quickly comes in the form of Sugar Belle, who seems a bit different from the rest of the villagers. She's less creepy, smiley face bleh, and feels more, well, normal. She then tells the group to meet her in the basement of her bake shop and not to cause any suspicion as to why they are down there. We soon find that not everyone in the village is as loyal as once thought. However, they clearly aren't rebelling, but rather are curious as to how a group of unique and different individuals can be friends, which is completely opposite to their own philosophy and way of thinking. The group quickly learns that everyone's cutie marks were removed and that they are kept in a cutie mark vault, located inside a large cave, and that the villagers can go visit the vault at any time. Twilight and friends then set out to see the vault. What could possibly go wrong? Quite a bit, actually. The Cutie Mark Vault is a massive protected wall that displays all of the cutie marks that have been removed. As well, the cave is home to what is known as the Staff of Sameness. Personally, I would have called it the Staff of Equality, but then again, I guess I don't name staffs for a living. We're put under the impression that this staff with the could have been better name is what removes the cutie marks. However, we later learn that this staff is no more than a stick that Starlight found in the desert, and that it's really her magic that removes the cutie marks. So you're probably thinking at this point, what's the purpose of having the staff then? Well, it turns out that the staff was used because Starlight didn't want the villagers to know that she had access to her magical abilities. When the cutie marks are removed, so are the special talents of the individual. And so if Starlight uses magic freely, the townsfolk would have quickly found that she was lying to them. Nonetheless, it's quickly clear that going to the cave was a big mistake, and the main six soon find that they are trapped. With surprisingly little fight, their cutie marks are removed and they are sent away to a locked room with a speaker hammering home Starlight's ideology. Now this brings up an interesting philosophy of, and apologies in advance for effectively mangling the pronunciation of his name, Niccolo Machiavelli, that Starlight seems to follow. Machiavelli was a philosopher during the Renaissance period, but the reason why he's special was that he was considered to be absolutely unethical. One of his most famous lines is, and I quote, "The ends justify the means," which in essence means that as long as the end result is something good, you can do really bad things to get to that final good. Politically, Machiavelli was a strong believer in doing anything to stay in power, as long as the people you ruled over are satisfied, not necessarily happy. Starlight and Machiavelli are very much equal in this philosophy. Starlight is willing to take away others' cutie marks, a clearly painful and debilitating process, as well as brainwash the ponies into believing a certain ideology in order to stay in power. And there's those that say this is just a children's show, you silly billies. So back to the episode and back to the dull room where our heroes are being held captive, desperately searching for escape. Twilight comes up with the idea that the only way to escape is to pretend that they have accepted Starlight's philosophy. However, there's a snag. Since it would be unbelievable that they all converted after one day, they send out Fluttershy, the only one who had said positive things about the place, to go find a way to get help and return their cutie marks. No pressure. However, to be accepted to the village, Fluttershy is asked to reveal who told the group about the vault, but before she could give any answers, Party Favor gives himself up in order to protect his other two friends, and in doing so gets himself sent in the locked room with the others. But now is the time for action! With Fluttershy out, it's up to her to find a way to save her friends and reclaim their cutie marks. There's some fantastic snooping around. We learn that Starlight is keeping her friend's cutie marks in her cottage, and also that she herself did not have her cutie mark removed. Honestly, this really surprised me, but at the same time it didn't. Visually, you could see that Starlight didn't appear to have any color desaturation like everyone else, and she seemed normal from the start, which was a bit of a giveaway that she herself did not remove her cutie mark. It's interesting how she removes everyone else's cutie mark because she believes that equality will result in happiness, but fails to do the same to herself, in essence making her different than her peers. This would be indicating that Starlight does not in fact believe what she is imposing on the villagers, but perhaps there's another motive at work. So what was she up to then? Perhaps planning to create an army? Well, it was clear that she had the loyalty of the majority of the population, and that musical number sure looked militaristic, but the townsfolk seemed a bit too friendly, well, in their own special way, so military is probably out of the question. So motives aside, it's day 2, and Starlight checks to see if any of the main 6 would like to join their community. Twilight pretends to be interested, buying enough time for Fluttershy to grab a bucket of water and reveal Starlight's true cutie mark. Thanks, water! Now it's shown to the villagers that Starlight has been lying to them, and the revolution begins! While the townsfolk go to retrieve their own cutie marks, the main 6 must pursue Starlight, as earlier before she made sure she had their cutie marks personally. The villagers attempt to break the glass wall of the vault, but to no avail. It ends up taking Double Diamond to throw the Staff of Sameness at the wall to break it. Now that is symbolism. Now keep in mind that Double Diamond was Starlight's right-hand man, so for him to be the one to release the cutie marks, it shows that the philosophy of the village has made a complete 180-degree shift. So with the help of the villagers, now with their cutie marks back, the group breaks into Starlight's cottage only to realize that she has run off with the cutie marks and heading for the mountains, which would apparently be nearly impossible to find her in if she were to make it there. I guess mountains are easy to get lost in, I suppose. I don't know, I don't really climb mountains often. And the chase ensues. With our 6 heroes currently out of commission, it's up to the townspeople to catch Starlight and retrieve the cutie marks, and I absolutely love that. The main 6 have always been able to, for the most part, rely on each other if they needed help, but in this situation, they must rely on complete strangers to win this battle. So with a very intense chase scene, it shows that the differences in individual talents of each of the ponies, when they work together, can be as powerful as any magic. And helping each other, they manage to return the cutie marks to the main 6. However, despite all of this, Starlight manages to escape into the mountains, not to be seen again anytime soon. So with the village back to its rightful form, the main 6 know that their mission is complete. So what did I think of the episode? Honestly, it was refreshing to see a villain like Starlight who used their charisma and charm as their greatest weapon. I also enjoyed that instead of using powerful artifacts or magic or brute strength to tackle this challenge, the main six had to use cunning and wit to reach a solution. One question that still bugs me though is how all of these villagers fell for Starlight's plot in the first place. I mean, anyone from a mile away could clearly see that this village was messed up and naturally would turn away quickly at the first sight. The main six only stayed because of their mission, but anyone else would have no reason to hang around. I suppose it just speaks to Starlight's charisma. Another thing I liked was that Starlight wasn't reformed by the end and held true to her own philosophies. Perhaps we'll see her make a return later on this season. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode, and it really speaks to how this season is gonna play out. So with that, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and if you did, then be sure to leave a like as well. Don't forget to subscribe for more videos like this one. It helps support me for free, and it only takes a click. Also, check out my Facebook and DeviantArt page to chat with me and see what I'm up to between uploads. Anyways, I think that's about all for today, so once again, hope you enjoyed. This is Tyandaga signing out.